this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for iChess.net, and welcome to this new series where we'll be talking about openings. This time we have the King's Indian attack, and as you can see on the screen, the King's Indian attack is a powerful weapon to have, especially because it's easy to play, it's easy to understand, and we know where our pieces are going. Another thing I like about the King's Indian attack is the fact we can play it against whatever black plays. We usually start with e4, although we can also start with the reti, playing knight f3. Say he plays d5, we can play this, we develop our bishop, and later on we play d3, knight bd2, and our idea should be playing e4 sooner or later. This is the same setup black plays when he plays the King's Indian defense. But of course, if we can start with e4, that's better because we already occupy the center. So what we'll do in this series is analyze a couple of games. This is not a theory video. I mean, we want to get the ideas out of the opening, which is much better because one thing is to memorize and another thing is to understand what you're doing. So in this game, which is the first game, the bid against Genocchio, black played c5, knight f3, e6. So far we have a Sicilian, and we see black played the Poulsen Sicilian with e6. He can also play d6, of course, but here we are not forced to playing d4, which is the open Sicilian. We can also play d3. Knight bd2, we do the fianchetto, and we have the King's Indian attack. So black can't do much to stop it. In this case, he plays the Poulsen, and instead of d4, we go for d3. Knight c6. Here white played this move first. I don't think this is changing much. I mean, we can play this, and against d5 we can play this. Sooner or later we'll transpose to the same position. Actually, who really chooses how to display his pieces is black. I mean, we know we'll do the fianchetto, we know we'll castle. Black, on the other hand, he has a lot of ways of playing. He can play with d5, he can play with the pawn on d6, he can try developing the bishop via e7, he can also try doing the fianchetto. In some lines he goes knight f6, in other lines he goes knight to e7. We'll see some positions where he tries b6, bishop b7. So you can see options they seem to be endless. Maybe instead of playing with e6 against the King's Indian attack, he can also try playing with d6 plus e5. So we have a lot of setups to analyze, but trust me, our ideas as white, they are quite good no matter what he plays, and that's why I love this system. So in this game, black tries this move. This is of course a natural move. However, in this situation, we'll learn how flexible the King's Indian attack is. Black, he's trying to play in a Sicilian spirit, I would say a dragon spirit, and he decides to develop the bishop this way. If he goes something like d5, here we can play knight bd2 first. We don't want to trade queens, we can play this. Let's say he plays knight f6, bishop here, usually he plays bishop e7. If he plays bishop d6, he is exposed to a fourchette later on, so bishop e7, castles, and here already we can consider a move like e5. Developing... I mean, we are not developing yet. What I was trying to say is getting more space in the center, removing his knight from the key defending square, and later on our plan is knight f1, we'll place our bishop on f4, h4, and suddenly all our pieces are going to the king side, where we'll have a nice attack. It is also true that black has some attack on the queen side, but this is a battle of attacks, and I'm happy our target is his king. Maybe he's successful on the queen side, and maybe he ends up grabbing our rook on a1, but if we are successful, then we'll mate him. So this is probably the main line of the king's ending attack. You'll find a lot of games with this variation. Black, since he started this with a Sicilian, he wants to continue in a Sicilian spirit, and here instead of bishop here, which would be by far the main move, we also have a move like this. And as I was saying, this shows how flexible the king's ending attack is. We have endless traps to consider and a lot of ways to punish black's move orders. Here, for instance, we are attacking his queen. I know that sounds basic, but he's in a huge dilemma already because it's not easy to see how to react. If he plays bishop e7, first we can take, and then he's lacking the bishop for the fianchetto. We can also go back, and I mean, he's still missing the bishop there. So bishop e7 doesn't look right. This looks even worse because we play bishop f6, and after this, I mean, this is awful for black because he loses his bishop. He lost the right to castle. So yeah, this is not possible. f6, I mean, this is playable, but we know that advancing a pawn is risky as well. Pawns, they can't go back, and he's hurting himself here because this diagonal is now closed. Not to mention f6 is the square for his knight. One day I can try exploiting this by playing h4, h5. So this little move is stronger than it looks like. According to theory, the most accurate move for black is queen c7, but we'll see a lot of players playing queen b6. This is the human reaction. They move the queen, and they are also attacking a pawn. So here we can first consider queen c1, protecting the pawn, making sure we put a tough time for black's kingside development. I mean, one day we can try playing bishop h6. This is definitely possible, but why not playing something like knight bd2? Why not? We play according to the opening rules, we sacrifice material, and if we have more development, I don't mind sacrificing the b2 pawn. His king is still in the center, he's far away from castling. Let's play knight bd2. Black takes, which is risky, but yeah, if he doesn't, then knight c4 is annoying. So he decides to take. White plays knight c4. In this game, black plays queen c3 check. It's crazy because the ancients recommend this move, but okay, I mean, if he has to play that, I can simply continue my development, and well, what is this, right? This can't be good. So queen c3 check. We play this. Queen goes back there. Well, maybe queen f6 looks more like it, but I can play e5. First attacking the queen. Second, I create a hole on d6. This is too dangerous for black. Now he cannot even play bishop here because of the check. And he's in a tough spot. He cannot finish his development. So he plays queen there. White continues with standard moves. f6. And in this game, I feel black under pressure. He made bad moves. It is not easy to play when you're lacking development, so Maybe according to the ancients this is an equal position, but in practice black has a clear disadvantage. I mean, the ancients say b5, maybe knight e3. I love the amount of pieces I have on the king side, and then it says a move like h5. I mean, what the ancient is recommending is moving pawns, playing a risky strategy that involves no development, so in the short run this should be bad for black. Especially in a real game between humans. That's what really counts. So f6 is what black tried in this game. I feel he's trying to stop this move, because this... First I can play e5, as we were saying, and maybe a move like this. Maybe now, maybe later, but this diagonal looks too powerful for us. So black plays this. We castle. I like this move. We castle, we put our king in safety, and then we think about opening that position, because we have a huge development advantage. So black plays knight h6, trying to develop as fast as he can. If he plays a move like b5, I feel he's hurting himself, because it's going to be easy for us to open that position. And if he opens that position too much with this development, I mean, every single piece is on the first rank. So he's just helping us. This looks like a better try. And white plays the humble c3. We probably have other moves, but if you think about it, the faster way to open that position is by playing d4, d5. When we attack, the best way to open lines is by advancing our pawns. So he plays bishop e7, d4, knight f7. At this point I feel he's probably dead, unless he plays accurate moves. I mean, if he plays a move like d5, I play knight e3, and here our development is paying off already. He's got a lot of issues on d5. A move like this, I can take on c5, I can play rook e1, those are great moves, maybe rook b1 even, but c4 looks devastating. I don't see any way for black to hold this. If he takes, I play d5 and I win a piece. If he takes here, knight takes d5, my development is too much. I have this threat, rook e1 as well. If he queenside castles, man, this has to be losing. Well, let's see what the computer gives. I would play rook e1 maybe, rook b1, simple move, keeping my attacking chances, but if I think a bit more, I would probably find what the computer says, taking on h6, taking on e7, and then rook e1. After this simple variation, we win a piece, no matter what he does. Rook d6, knight takes d4, or even c5, and yes, he's definitely losing here. It's like every single piece is hanging. Okay, so he cannot consider d5. That's sad. I mean, he has to play knight f7 and then queen a4. d5 I feel is strong enough. If I play this, I make sure I open that position. I can take, knight takes. I can even take on e5, but this looks stronger, trying to play f4. Apart from our initiative, we can feel he's lacking space here, so yeah, I think that position speaks for itself. But white here tried queen a4, possibly because we have knight b6. We can also go after material, because our development is finished already, and he's still wasting tempis trying to castle. Here he has to play rook b8, rook a b1, a6. Another huge mistake by black. I know he's trying to play b5. We can see that, but this guy is still in the center. I mean, he has to castle. Even if you're lost, try castling as soon as possible, and then you try finding some counterplay. If you play with the king there, you're making life easier to your opponent. a6, here white plays this move first. We stop b5, we stop all the counterplay. Now he castles, but he's lacking space. Knight e5. Maybe he can try this, but then we take and queen takes e7. We can convert our advantage whenever we want, basically. In normal circumstances, we would never take that bishop on c8 because this bishop is too bad and our knight on b6 is too strong. But if knight d8, we have tactics already, and that is why we do so. So he plays knight c5, knight takes, f4, knight f7. Here we see we are pretty close to a 6-1 position. He cannot move his pieces, basically, and he tries knight d6. Maybe bishop d6 was a better try, but we can play c4. We can continue with our development. I see moves like rook b3, rook e3, and as we said, he cannot move any single piece in his position. That's why black is absolutely lost. Knight d6, here white played f5. I love this move. Despite sacrificing a pawn, we make sure we open this diagonal. If this bishop f4, and he can give up already. As you can see, he cannot move. And if knight takes f5, this is what happened in the game. Bishop f4. Now he played d6. Knight d6, we can probably take, followed by queen takes c7. That wins a piece. And what else? Maybe he can play d6. As we'll see, d6 is what black played. That works like a puzzle, and we'll analyze that later. Bishop f4, the move we have to analyze is bishop d6. When you're defending, the best you can try is trading pieces off, but bishop d6 has an issue. We can take knight takes d6, and here we have a simple winning move. We'll replace that bishop on f4, we'll use our queen, which is much more powerful, and as you can see, there's no way to protect that knight on d6. If he moves it, then we take the rook on b8. So black plays d6, and here I recommend you pause the video, try finding the best continuation for white. We definitely have a lot of good moves. I mean, we have simple moves, and worst scenario we keep a slight edge, but we want to finish him off. So I recommend you pause the video, try finding the best move. What I'll do now is I'll make a 5-10 seconds pause, and then I'll continue talking. Okay, so in this position after d6, we start looking at some positional details, like we can take this bishop at some point. Light squares wise, he's got some weaknesses, and we also see we should have some tactics. I mean, this diagonal, the fact we have the rook on e1, that knight on f5 looks hanging. I mean, this knight is not hanging himself, but I can play something like this, and then bishop e7 would be hanging. That was what I was trying to say. So, a couple of moves come to mind. When we analyze a position like this, we have to use candidate moves. So, what are the first moves we see in this position at first glance? Whether I want it or not, knight takes c8 comes to mind. I mean, this is probably the first move I see. If he takes this way, then rook takes b7. This looks crushing, because now a move like this looks too powerful, not to mention bishop h3, and he's under a couple of pins. The issue would be a move like rook f takes c8, because here he keeps his extra pawn. I can play queen d7, I have some stuff going on, but bishop f8, and he's trading more and more pieces. This is not what we are looking for. So knight takes c8, I know it's not the right move. What about bishop h3? This is tempting, because now my threat is to take the bishop on c8, and then I grab the knight on f5. And I don't see many moves for black. I mean, he can try something like rook d8, I can take this, and then I can play bishop takes or even queen d7. This looks more like it. I mean, this bishop is a bad bishop. I can grab the f5 pawn with queen d7. I mean, this looks much better than the previous variation. However, there's another move which white played, and after this black is simply lost. I have to say it's not easy to find a move like this, because at first glance it is not clear what our threat is. White plays queen e4, centralizing the queen, and okay, yeah, we are looking at this bishop. Maybe this is the idea. What white is really trying to stop is a move like bishop d8, because now we take, and we have queen e6 check next. So we win material. We stop bishop d8. That means the bishop cannot move. That means this move is coming. I mean, this move is a serious threat. And maybe we can still consider taking plus queen e6. I mean, the queen here is too powerful. Maybe moves like bishop h3 are now stronger. So here, lacking moves, black decided to play h5. This is the only way to stop the advance. White played simple bishop h3, and believe it or not, black resigns in this position. Try finding a move for black, and you won't be able to get a good one. If he moves the bishop, we know knight takes c8, followed by queen e6. If he plays a move like this, we can take, and then we win a piece. I mean, let's analyze this a bit more. We can take here. This is not dangerous. We can even play a move like h3. So, what else? If he moves the knight, bishop c8 is hanging, bishop e7 is hanging. The only move that comes to mind is rook f7, trying to overprotect the bishop on e7. But here we have the simple knight takes, rook takes. Here we have a choice between this and this. I would play rook takes b7 first, because then bishop takes f5 is... there's no way to stop it. And after this, we can trade, or we can play queen e6. This is a complete sux1 for black, who cannot move a single piece. That is why after bishop h3, black decides to give up. Okay, that's all for this video. I hope this works as a nice introduction to the King's Indian attack. Of course, we have much more to analyze, and we'll soon publish more videos regarding this opening. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you could learn something, and I also want to see you guys on my next videos. Thank you.